Language. Evolution of a programming languages. The two types are evolution of a programming languages. First one is a machine language and another one is assembly language. First expand is a machine language. These machine languages are the most basic type of computer languages. Machine language is machine dependent since different types of hardware use different machine code. Machine language has to be some language failures, poor readability, poor modifiability, expression coding was tedious, machine deficiencies, no indexing or floating points. Another one is the assembly language. Assembly, a low-level language which was developed for computers, microprocessors, microcontrollers and programmable devices. Assembly language specific to a certain computer architecture. In assembly language there is a term called assembler which used to convert assembly language into machine code which is easy to communicate with the computer. An example of the assembly language, a symbolic code that allows mnemonics for machine language instructions and symbolic names for memory locations. In this example for machine code, assembly used the symbol head for instruction 110000. To create programs in assembly language, developers use cryptic English-like phrases to represent strings of numbers. The code is then translated into object code, using a translator called an assembler. Typically a modern assembler creates object code by translating assembly instruction mnemonics into operation code, and by resolving symbolic names for memory locations and other entities. The use of symbolic references is a key feature of assemblers, saving tedious calculations and manual address updates after program modifications. Most assemblers also include macro facilities for performing textual substitution. Example to generate common short sequences of instructions as inline, instead of called subroutines. In above description there are several terms which are not used frequently, so they are described below. Object code. In computer science, an object file is an organized collection of separate, named sequences of machine code. Each sequence, or object, typically contains instructions for the host machine to accomplish some task, possibly accompanied by related data and metadata program debugging operation code. In computer science, an operation code is the portion of machine language instruction that specifies the operation to be performed. Their specification and format are laid out in the instruction set architecture of the processor in question. Symbolic names or identifiers. An identifier is a unique expression in a written format either by a code, by numbers or by the combination of both to distinguish variations from one to another among a class of substances, items, or objects. Subroutines. In computer science, the subroutine, also called procedure, method, function, or routine, is a portion of code within a larger program that performs a specific task and is relatively independent of the remaining code. In assembly language, mainly they had used binary numbers and some natural language. For an example, moving, addition, multiplication and etc. When we considering about the example number 1, it shows how binary computer code can be made more human readable by expressing it in hexadecimal as follows. And when we considering about example 2, it express movements. Here, B0 means move a copy of the following value into AL, and 61 is a hexadecimal representation of the value 0110001, which is 97 in decimal. Intel assembly language provides the mnemonic MOV, an abbreviation of move for instructions such as this, so the machine code above can be written as follows in assembly language, complete with an explanatory comment if required, after the semicolon. This is much easier to read. Is assembly good? Knowledge. Your knowledge of assembly language will help you write better programs, even when using high-level language. Speed. Assembly language programs are generally the fastest programs around. Space. Assembly language programs are often the smallest. Capacity. You can do things in assembly which are difficult or impossible in high-level language.